Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the heart of fascinating subjects to extract the most important insights for you. Today, we're diving into a real literary titan, John Milton's Paradise Lost. This isn't just, any poem. It's a monumental work that completely reshaped epic poetry. Just a sprawling, ambitious vision that's captivated readers for centuries. Our mission today is to sift through, well, a whole stack of extensive sources, including some really insightful Wikipedia excerpts, to pull out those surprising facts and profound insights that make you truly well-informed. And here's something truly astonishing to start with. Milton composed this entire, colossal epic while completely blind,
Yeah.
dictating it to friends and assistants. It's just an incredible testament to his genius and sheer resilience.
It truly is. And what's remarkable right from the outset is that Milton himself explicitly stated the overarching purpose of this work,
Right.
to justify the ways of God to men. This single line, it immediately signals the incredibly profound philosophical and theological questions the poem grapples with. We're talking fundamental concepts like free will versus predestination, the very nature of good and evil, and how those play out on a cosmic scale. It sets the stage for an intellectual journey as much as a narrative one, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
So, okay, to really unpack this, what defines Paradise Lost as an epic poem? You mentioned its ambition. Can you help us understand its core structure and what makes it such a foundational work?
Well, at its core, Paradise Lost is indeed an epic poem written predominantly in blank verse. It was first published 1667 with 10 books.
10 books first.
Right. But Milton later expanded it to 12 in 1674, consciously mirroring Virgil's Aeneid.
Ah, okay.
Its core subject is the biblical story of the fall of humankind. The temptation of Adam and Eve by the fallen angel Satan and their subsequent expulsion from the Garden of Eden. But Milton's genius, really, was in how he approached the epic form.
How so? What made his approach, innovative?
Well, instead of invoking classical muses like Homer or Virgil did, Milton consciously chose to invoke the heavenly muse. That's a direct address to the Christian God for inspiration.
Interesting.
And he repurposed many classical epic conventions, like the in medias res opening.
Starting in the middle of things.
Exactly, starting the midst of things, as well as journeys to the underworld, large-scale battles, and the use of Homeric similes. But here's where it gets really innovative. He fundamentally twisted these elements. Instead of celebrating classical heroism, which often centered on, say, military strength, cunning, or traits like wrath, you see that in figures like Achilles or Odysseus.
Yeah, the warrior types.
Right. Milton aimed to promote Christian virtues: love, mercy, humility, self-sacrifice, embodied most profoundly, of course, by the Son of God.
And he did all this in blank verse, unrhymed iambic pentameter. Milton truly became known for mastering this style, right? Using its flexibility for incredible syntactic complexity. It hadn't been widely used in non-dramatic poetry until Paradise Lost had it. Expert, how did his groundbreaking use of this form reshape epic poetry? What made his approach so distinctive for centuries?
That's a fantastic question because Milton truly became the master of blank verse. He leveraged its flexibility to achieve incredible syntactic complexity. Before Paradise Lost, it wasn't widely used in non-dramatic poetry, but after his work, well, it basically became the standard for English epics for centuries. Though, as you might imagine, not everyone loved its imitators. Samuel Johnson, for instance, famously mocked those who tried to copy Milton's unique style without his genius.
Right, it takes a certain skill.
Yeah.
And speaking of Milton's incredible control over language, his mastery went far beyond just the blank verse, didn't it? I've heard he even wove, hidden messages into the text.
Oh, he absolutely did. Did you know he even wove hidden messages, like acrostics, directly into the text?
Really? Like what?
Well, for instance, in Book 9, there's a verse describing the serpent that tempted Eve, and it literally spells out Satan if you read the first letter of each line downwards.
Oh, way.
Yeah. And elsewhere in the same book, you can find F-A all and then fall.
Wow.
This isn't just, a clever trick. It's a chilling, almost subliminal way. Milton reinforces the idea that the shadow of the fall and Satan's influence is woven into the very fabric of existence, even down to the letters on the page. It's a testament to his intricate, almost obsessive control over language to serve his theological message.
That's fascinating. So diving into the narrative itself, the poem starts, as we mentioned, in medias res. We're immediately thrown into hell. Can you paint a picture of Satan's state and surroundings right then?
Absolutely. We find Satan and his defeated angels in Pandemonium, that's the capital of hell, reeling after their failed rebellion against God. They're trying to make sense of their cosmic defeat, battered but definitely not broken. And Satan, well, he's already plotting his next move, his ambition totally undimmed by his fall.
And from there, we follow Satan as he devises this, well, audacious plan to corrupt God's newest creation, humankind. He undertakes quite the journey, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. What's truly epic here is his perilous, almost Odysseus-like journey through the abyss, through chaos, to reach God's new material world and eventually the Garden of Eden. It's a grand adventure, sure, but with the most sinister of motives, a journey driven purely by spite and a desire for revenge.
So that's the setup for their fall. But before Adam and Eve even arrive on the scene, there's the monumental angelic war in heaven. Tell us a bit about that and then about God's creation of the world.
Right. The poem recounts this massive three-day conflict where ultimately the Son of God single-handedly defeats the entire legion of angelic rebels and banishes them from heaven. It's an absolute blockbuster of a battle, truly redefining what an epic could be, not just in scale, but in its profound stakes. After this cosmic purge, God creates the world, culminating in Adam and Eve. He gives them total freedom and power over creation. Exactly, with one crucial command. Do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil on penalty of death. It's a simple command, but one with, well, cosmic implications.
And their portrayal before the fall is quite striking, isn't it? Not maybe what you'd first expect.
It is. The portrayal of Adam and Eve before the fall is quite nuanced. They're presented as having a romantic and sexual relationship with distinct personalities and passions, yet entirely without sin. Then comes the temptation itself. Satan, disguised as a serpent, preying on Eve's vanity and tricking her with cunning rhetoric.
Classic serpent move.
Right. But what's really striking is Adam's response. He learns Eve has sin and then knowingly commits the same sin, not out of deception, but out of loyalty, out of love for her. In Milton's portrayal, this actually makes Adam a greater sinner than Eve because he was fully aware that what he was doing was wrong, and he chose love for Eve over obedience to God.
That's a heavy interpretation. And the immediate tragic consequences of their disobedience are just stark. They experience lust for the first time, which leads to this unpleasant sexual encounter. Then come terrible nightmares, followed by profound guilt, shame, and just mutual recrimination. Blaming each other. It's a rapid descent from innocence. While Adam and Eve are grappling with their new fallen reality, let's turn our attention back to Satan, the architect of their downfall. What happens when he gets back to hell?
Indeed, while they suffer, Satan returns to hell, expecting this triumphant praise, right? But in a deeply ironic twist, as he finishes his speech, he and all his followers are suddenly transformed into hideous snakes as punishment. Yeah. They share the same guilt, and now the same humiliating form. It raises a fascinating question about the true nature of victory. Was it really a triumph if it led to their own degradation?
That grim outcome truly highlights the cost of rebellion. But interestingly, the poem doesn't end there in despair, does it? It actually takes a hopeful turn from that low point.
It does, thankfully. Eve, showing renewed humility, appeals to Adam for reconciliation of their actions, and together they seek forgiveness from God. And that leads to the Archangel Michael's critical role. He reveals the future to Adam in a vision, including everything that will happen to humankind, right up to the Great Flood.
That must have been rough to see.
Oh, Adam is profoundly distressed by this vision. So Michael then offers the crucial promise of mankind's potential redemption from original sin through Jesus Christ, whom Michael calls King Messiah. Adam and Eve are ultimately cast out of Eden, yes, but with the profound promise that Adam may find, quote, a paradise within thee, happier far. It's a powerful message of internal hope and resilience, not just external loss.
That's an incredible amount of detail to absorb. Let's shift gears now to the characters themselves, because here's where it gets really interesting. Perhaps the most famous is Satan. He's the first major character introduced, often portrayed as a tragic figure, famous for that bold declaration, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven.
Exactly. And this brings us right to the famous critical debate around Satan. Romanticist critics, like William Blake, Lord Byron, Percy Bysshe Shelley, they often viewed him as a heroic or sympathetic figure, drawn to his defiance, his ambition.
The ultimate rebel.
Precisely. However, devout Christians like C.S. Lewis and Charles Williams strongly argued against this interpretation. They asserted he is the origin of all evil and certainly not a hero. John Carey adds that Satan's ambivalence is actually key to the poem's success, making the character incredibly complex and allowing for these varied interpretations. C.S. Lewis also argued that Milton would have expected his contemporary readers not to see Satan as a hero, citing stock responses common in that era. He suggested that the romantic view kind of misses Milton's original intent. It's also fascinating to compare him to Prometheus, the Greek Titan, as Milton's Satan embodies a dual Christ-like and satanic nature in his defiance and suffering.
Very complex. Then we have Adam and Eve themselves, the central figures of the fall. What's compelling about their individual portrayals, and how does their dynamic contribute to the narrative?
Well, Adam is portrayed as more gregarious than Eve, yearning for her company, and he's completely infatuated with her. Raphael even warns him specifically to take heed lest passion sway thy judgment. But Adam's great love for Eve ultimately contributes to his disobedience.
And he couldn't help himself.
Seems like it. Eve, on the other hand, has a distinct personality. She's often unwilling to be submissive and, interestingly, initially found Adam less enticing than her own reflection in a lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Book 9 even stages this domestic drama where Eve convinces Adam to separate so they can work in different parts of the garden.
Bad idea.
Turns out, yes, it allows Satan to tempt her while she's alone, making her vulnerable.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Milton's portrayal of the divine characters is equally unique, isn't it? How does he depict God the Father and the Son of God?
He certainly does. The Son of God, who interestingly is never explicitly named Jesus Christ in the poem because he hasn't yet taken human form,
Right, that makes sense.
is presented as the ultimate hero. He is infinitely powerful, single-handedly defeats Satan's forces, and volunteers for humanity's salvation. This embodies Milton's subordinationist Christology, which regarded the Son as secondary to the Father.
Okay.
God the Father, in turn, is portrayed as all-powerful and all-knowing. He creates everything from part of himself, not from nothing, which establishes his ultimate authority over all creation. It's a very specific theological viewpoint Milton wanted to convey.
And the archangels also play crucial roles. We hear about Raphael and Michael. What are their functions in the larger story?
Right, Raphael is sent by God basically to strengthen Adam and Eve against Satan. He recounts this heroic tale of the war in heaven. But ironically, his story, which portrays Satan as bold and decisive, might have paradoxically failed to prepare Adam and Eve for Satan's more subtle temptations, the rhetoric and flattery.
Interesting point.
Then there's Michael, who's preeminent in military prowess. He ultimately expels Adam and Eve from Eden, but crucially, not without providing that vision of future salvation to Adam, giving them hope amidst their despair.
We've explored the narrative and characters. Now, let's consider the deeper meaning. So, what does this all mean? What would you say are some of the most profound themes Milton weaves into Paradise Lost? Let's maybe start with his views on marriage.
Milton's views on marriage are, well, surprisingly progressive for his time, actually. He presented Adam and Eve's relationship as one of mutual dependence, not a relation of domination or hierarchy.
Not just the man in charge.
Exactly. Each accepts their designated roles, seeing them as an asset in the relationship. This emphasis on mutuality and the idea of marriage as a contract separate from the church suggests some of Milton's forward-thinking views. It potentially even hints at his controversial thoughts on divorce.
That's a fascinating insight, especially given his own life. What about his controversial concept of idolatry? How does that manifest in the poem?
This raises an important point, especially for Milton's Protestant perspective. Milton strongly criticized the building of physical structures for worship. When Adam tries to atone for his sins by offering to build altars, Michael explains that Adam doesn't need physical objects to experience God's presence. Joseph Lyle noted that Milton wasn't against buildings themselves, but their tendency to act as convenient loci to which idolatry over time will inevitably adhere.
The structure becomes the focus, not God.
Precisely. In the poem, Eve's narcissism and self-obsession are also portrayed as a form of idolatry. She places her faith in herself and the tree of knowledge rather than God. Milton further makes his point by linking Pandemonium, Satan's palace, and Solomon's temple to famous real-world structures like St. Peter's Basilica, conveying his Protestant rejection of both Catholic and pagan false meaning through these architectural comparisons. He also saw the idea of a monarch ruling by divine right as idolatrous, associating it with the Stuart ideology of divine kingship.
Speaking of monarchy, let's talk about Milton's criticism of it. The impious war in heaven, where Satan rebels against God, can be interpreted as an allegory for the English Civil War. This poses a bit of a paradox, doesn't it? Milton himself applauded the execution of King Charles I, Yet in his poem, he sides with God's awful monarch. How do we reconcile that?
It seems like a contradiction at first glance, yeah. But C.S. Lewis argued there's no real inconsistency there. Milton believed that God was his natural superior and absolute divine sovereign, but King Charles Stuart was not.
Ah,
It's about distinguishing between divine authority, which Milton revered, and earthly power, which he felt should be earned and accountable, not absolute by divine right.
that clarifies it. And this brings us to a major critical debate. The moral ambiguity, especially concerning God's character in Paradise Lost. Some interpretations are quite provocative.
Indeed. William Empson, a critic known for his strong anti-Christian views, provocatively argued that Milton's God is wicked. Yeah, or even a Stalinist tyrant. Empson even suggested that God's inmost counsel was actually the fortunate fall of man, that God secretly wanted humanity to fall so he could enact the plan of salvation.
That's a radical take.
Very. However, this interpretation has been strongly rebutted by scholars like Dennis Danielson. Danielson points out that foreknowledge is not culpability. God knew Adam and Eve would fall, sure, but he did not command or influence their decision. Instead, God grants free will, which is essential for a free act of love with the divine. C.S. Lewis also emphasized that the poem is a genuine Christian morality tale and that the fall is simply disobedience from pride, a choice freely made, not some kind of divine manipulation.
Moving beyond its immediate content, Paradise Lost's legacy is just immense. Samuel Johnson praised Milton's peculiar power to astonish, noting his ability to display the vast, illuminate the splendid, and enforce the awful, high praise.
And what's truly fascinating here is how the poem was received by later generations, especially the Romantics. William Blake famously wrote, "The reason Milton wrote in fetters when he wrote of angels and God, and at liberty when of devils and hell, is because he was a true poet and of the devil's party without knowing it."
That's a famous quote.
It really is, and it perfectly captures the romantic fascination with Satan as a heroic figure, highlighting how they were drawn to his rebellion and grandiosity, even if, as we discussed, that likely wasn't Milton's original intent.
And it really did redefine the genre. It's truly a Christian epic, one so profound and perhaps challenging to some orthodoxies that it was even banned by the Catholic Church and placed on the Index Librorum Prohibitorum.
Yeah, that happened. And connecting this to the bigger picture, Paradise Lost has inspired a vast iconography and left an indelible artistic mark. Notable illustrators like William Blake, Gustave Doré, and Henry Fuseli created these stunning visual interpretations of the poem, really shaping how generations imagined its characters and scenes.
You can picture those Doré engravings now.
Exactly. Even Salvador Dali executed a set of color engravings in 1974 based on Paradise Lost. Milton's own blindness during composition even inspired biographical paintings by artists like Fuseli and Eugene Delacroix, showing the profound impact his life story had. It's a testament to the work's enduring power that it continues to inspire across so many artistic mediums.
What a profound journey we've taken through Paradise Lost. We've explored its rich characters, from the defiant Satan to the vulnerable Adam and Eve, delved into its complex themes of free will, marriage, and idolatry, and traced its enduring literary and theological significance.
Indeed. Milton's masterpiece continues to inspire scholars, writers, and artists to this day. It really remains a cornerstone of discourse about free will, the nature of good and evil, and, well, the human condition. It's a work that truly never ceases to offer new insights with every reading.
So a final thought for you, the listener, to ponder. Given Paradise Lost's exploration of free will and its consequences and the differing interpretations of Satan, what does it truly mean to be heroic or fallen in a world where choices have cosmic reverberations? And maybe what kind of paradise within might you still seek today?